Hello and welcome back to TVP World's World Service. I'm Anna Galczyńska. The European Union's General Affairs Ministers are set to discuss the Article 7 procedure concerning Hungary during the General Affairs Council decision this Tuesday. TVP World spoke to the former Hungary foreign minister to gain insight on the possible outcomes of this discussion.
This is one of the many meetings going on since 2018, when, on the request of the European Parliament, the Council started to apply the Article 7 procedure on Hungary. These are investigative meetings, putting questions to the representative of the Hungarian government, examining various aspects of the rule of law. This is a very slow motion picture. I have hopes that maybe the Polish presidency could speed up that procedure, but we know that the Article 7 is a very difficult procedure because we a big majority, 4/5 of all the member states, to state the serious threat of the rule of law in Hungary, and we would need full unanimity at the end of the day in order to apply real sanctions. This is a good public investigation, but I'm afraid that it would never get until real sanctions because of the rule of law problems in Hungary.
The European Union approved a €150 billion defence loan instrument amid continued threats from Russia. The initiative will offer loans that will not count toward EU fiscal spending limits.
The final agreement between member states says that the threats posed by Russia and Belarus are of particular urgency and relevance. Additionally, the document states that it is vital for the EU to support other member states as soon as possible so that they can place orders very rapidly. The Security Action for Europe loan instrument is meant to shore up EU's defense industry through financing weapon procurement. According to EU Defense Commissioner Andrius Kubilius, the EU would effectively double the volume of weapons Ukraine receives through investing in domestic arms manufacturing.
Russia is preparing new offensive operations, said Volodymyr Zelensky following a briefing with Ukrainian intelligence. According to the Ukrainian president, Vladimir Putin is not interested in peace and is instead counting on prolonging the war.
From the intelligence gathered and open-source data, we see that Putin and his inner circle do not plan to end the war. There is no indication that they are seriously considering peace or diplomacy. On the contrary, there are many signs that they are preparing new offensive operations. Russia is counting on continued warfare. This is a blatant disregard for everyone in the world who seeks peace and is trying to make diplomacy effective. I am sure our partners' intelligence services also have this information and see these facts, and it is important that they do not turn a blind eye but report them to their leadership.
Latvian officials called on European Union members to suspend visas for Russian citizens. The move is a response to the rising concerns of a possible Moscow-backed sabotage plot across Europe.
Latvia's Foreign Minister Baiba Braža urged EU member states to stop issuing visas to Russian citizens, citing serious security concerns. In her statement, Braža pointed out that the number of Schengen visas issued to Russians rose by a quarter in 2024 compared to 2023. European countries, Poland and Latvia included, have accused Russia of orchestrating a series of sabotage efforts, cyber attacks and arson across the EU. According to EU officials, the threat has intensified following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
Anti-government protesters gathered in Tbilisi on Monday as the country marked its Independence Day, with opposition supporters gathering in front of the parliament building to hear from former President Salome Zurabishvili.
Anti-government protesters gathered in Tbilisi on Monday as the country marked its Independence Day, with opposition supporters gathering in front of the parliament building to hear from former President Salome Zurabishvili. Georgia's various opposition forces organized marches in the capital Tbilisi on Independence Day. Protests against the ruling Moscow-friendly Georgian Dream Party have continued since the 2024 parliamentary elections, with citizens angered by the new government's plan to pause EU accession talks until 2028. Georgia had been an official accession EU candidate since December 2023, but Brussels froze talks after the government passed several questionable bills, including one similar to a Russian law, which requires NGOs and media outlets receiving more than 20% of their funding from foreign sources to register with the Ministry of Justice as organizations serving the interests of a foreign power.
Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz says Russia's war in Ukraine will likely continue for some time because of Moscow's reluctance to enter meaningful peace talks. Merz was speaking at a press conference hosted by Finnish Prime Minister Petteri Orpo.
I did not have any illusions from the start that this would go very quickly, but we have made an attempt which has also reached the Vatican. And if the Russian side is not even ready to accept an invitation from the Vatican or to accept a message from the Vatican to come to a meeting in another territory, then this shows that Putin and Russia obviously have no interest in coming to a ceasefire or even to a peace treaty. And that means, in consequence, that Ukraine has to defend itself and that we have to strengthen our efforts even more so that Ukraine can defend itself. And I keep pointing out that if you look at history, how wars end, they usually end with economic or military exhaustion of one or both sides. And we are obviously still far from that in this war. And that is why I expect that we may have to adjust to a longer period of time.
The Polish Army and other uniformed services have finished their annual search and rescue drills. The exercises, called SAREX 25, included practicing response to incidents on land, in the air and on sea, and involved joint efforts with German forces.
This series of exercises aimed to prepare our forces and assets for effective action, so that in the event of an incident, everyone knows their role and purpose, and persons in need of help receive it as quickly as possible. The first scenario involved just military aviation, a simulated ejection of 2 Su-22 pilots near the western border. Only military units were involved in this drill, and due to the proximity to the border, German forces were also brought in. One of their teams located one pilot, while our helicopter found the other. The primary objective was to practice coordination between Polish and German forces. Another scenario focused on rescuing people at sea. While it received less media attention, it was arguably the most important. It involved both surface and underwater rescue operations. Given recent global events, such exercises have become increasingly critical, not only for dealing with vessels, but also for accidents involving recreational divers. We've already implemented many changes, but there are still improvements to be made. The system doesn't require a complete overhaul, but it certainly needs further refinement.
A man who fled Poland after allegedly causing the death of a family of 3 in a high-speed car crash has been detained in the United Arab Emirates and was brought to Warsaw on Monday.
Polish police confirmed on X earlier on Monday that Sebastian M., the man in question, would be extradited. After landing in Warsaw, he was allegedly escorted out of the airport by law enforcement. The deadly incident took place in September 2023, when a speeding BMW struck another vehicle, killing a married couple and their 5-year-old son. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk thanked those involved in the operation and warned that anyone who runs from Polish justice will eventually be brought to account.
Liverpool FC's Premier League victory was marred by a tragic incident with a British man driving into a crowd of fans. 20 people received treatment on site, while 27 were taken to the hospital, 2 of them including one child with serious injuries.
As the English city was celebrating its football team's Premier League title, a car rammed into a crowd. Police have confirmed that a 53-year-old white British man was detained on the spot as he was exiting the car used in the incident. The event prompted a comment from the British Prime Minister, who called the scenes in Liverpool, quote, appalling, and thanked emergency services for their swift response. At the same time, local authorities stated the incident is not being treated as a terrorist attack.
The best European footballer, Cristiano Ronaldo, is leaving his current club, Al Nassr. The 40-year-old's contract expires at the end of June and, as stated by Ronaldo on his social media, will not be renewed. Last evening, Ronaldo posted a tweet in which he said this chapter of his career is closed. At the same time, the Portuguese footballer stated that the rest of the story is still being written. The 40-year-old striker is currently preparing for the next year's World Cup, which will be his record 6th tournament. So far, the future of Ronaldo's club career is not known. However, speculation regarding his next destinations flooded the internet. Among the clubs listed as interested in the players are London's Chelsea, his former club Manchester United, and the club where he played football as a child, Sporting Lisbon. And with this, we conclude this edition of World News. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Please stay with TVP World.